The next time you shop for groceries, check out the gluten-free section. A surge in the number of products on the shelves reflects the popularity of the diet. But is cutting out gluten healthy if you don't need a medical reason to do so? In this medical mythbuster, Viv Williams gets answers from an expert at Duke University.
Gluten is a protein found in grains, such as wheat, barley, and rye. Many food products contain it: bread, pasta, baked goods, and cereal.
We definitely see a lot of patients in our center who are trying to eat gluten-free, and a lot of them don't know if they really need to.
Dr. William Yancey, a Duke University internist, says most people can eat and digest gluten without issue. But
People with a particular disease called celiac disease have antibodies that actually attack it like it's a foreign substance.
Yancey says this causes inflammation throughout your body and in your small intestine. Symptoms of celiac disease include bloating, diarrhea, constipation, fatigue, malnutrition, osteoporosis or bone loss, and in very rare cases, cancer. Dr. Yancey says a blood test can diagnose celiac disease, and people who have it should not eat gluten.
But that's about 1% of the population.
If celiac disease is that rare, why, according to the research cited by the Gluten Intolerance Group, are 23% of consumers buying gluten-free products? Yancey says there are many reasons, but first, let's look at the economics of it. The gluten-free industry is big business. A Vantage market research analysis valued the gluten-free product market at more than $6.3 billion, and it's expected to reach $11 billion by 2030. Yancey says some people may reach for gluten-free products because they heard on social media or from a friend that it's a healthy thing to do. Others say they feel better and sleep better when they don't eat gluten. Yancey says non-celiac gluten sensitivity, or NCGS, may cause similar symptoms to celiac disease, but they're milder often. He notes that researchers are trying to figure out if gluten is causing symptoms in people with NCGS or if there's something else in gluten-containing products causing the issue. Yancey says if cutting out gluten makes you feel better, go ahead and do it. But make sure the replacement foods you choose contain the nutrients you need.
Well, if you're eating foods that have gluten in them and they're high in nutrition, they're whole grain foods, then and you substitute gluten-free products that aren't full of those nutrients, then it would be a problem.
So, if you've been diagnosed with celiac disease, don't eat gluten. Otherwise, Yancey says there's no harm in cutting it out, as long as you're still eating a well-balanced diet. With this medical mythbuster, I'm Viv Williams.
Well, I think this gluten thing is kind of one of the big nutrition phases that people go through, and it's not man-made. I mean, it is man-made. So you may not have celiacs per se and have that gene, and if you do, all your first-degree relatives need to check, but it doesn't mean it's expressed. But you know, there are 62 different proteins in wheat, and gluten is only one of them. So a lot of times when people are having inflammatory responses or the bloating, or even brain fog and all that, it may be one of the other components and not necessarily gluten.
But as you know, as my doctor, I do have issues with it. I do have the antibodies and the inflammation that I experienced when I was eating gluten. And I don't think anybody chooses to go gluten-free because it tastes good. And you have to really watch, because a lot of gluten-free products are really high in sugar.
And
really
starch and
high.
everything
Oh,
else.
if I had anything to say, it would be read labels. Read. I look at a label and I don't eat flour or sugar, so I'm way extreme, make a lot of people mad. But I read the labels, and if the sugar is like fifth and down, I do it. But often it's the second ingredient. So how healthy is it really?